Welcome to CINEPRO, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The movie begins on an island in Germany called Peacock Island. A boy named Andrea is riding his bike back from school. Andrea appears to be distracted on his phone and not paying attention to the road, to the extent that he doesn't notice a police car coming towards him. The car is about to hit him, but the officer stops it at the last moment. The officer, named Dano, warns Andrea not to use his phone while on the road, but Andrea ignores him and leaves. Later, Dano hears on the radio a musician named Patrick, who is talking about a song addressing the fight against nature and climate change, criticizing the use of chemicals and the desire to alter the climate for projects. Patrick mentions that there's a club on Peacock Island, whose owner uses specific chemicals to melt the ice on the golf course and grow grass instead, allowing people to play golf year-round. At night, Dano calls his daughter Patty, who works at the golf club, asking when she'll finish work so he can pick her up. She tells him she'll be working late and asks him to go to sleep, assuring him she'll get home on her own. At the golf club, workers from a company called M are dressed in protective suits, spraying a green chemical on the course. This chemical helps melt the ice and spread the grass. Michael, the club owner, is with them, giving instructions not to exceed the permitted amounts. Meanwhile, Andrea is at home in his room. The nanny, Camelia, tells him his mom is running late. Camelia mentions her house is off the island and she needs to leave because her family is waiting for her. She asks Andrea to take care of his sister, Annie, until their mom returns from work. Andrea feels anxious as he's not used to looking after his sister and worries he won't know how to handle her. Camelia reassures him, saying she's prepared everything Annie needs, including her food. As soon as Camelia leaves, Annie wakes up crying. Andrea tries everything to calm her down until their mom finally comes home from work. The next morning, Andrea wakes up to his mom asking him to look after Annie again, as Camelia couldn't wait for her and had to leave for work. Andrea decides to wait for Camelia, but she doesn't show up. He ends up skipping school to stay home with Annie, feeding her and changing her diaper. Meanwhile, Dano drives his daughter Patty to work at the golf club. Later, Marcel and a woman named Maud arrive on the island with their dog, Ruby. Michael greets them warmly as they are partners in the club. Marcel and Maud have come to see the completed golf course, now ready for use. They head to the course and start playing, but as soon as the ball falls into a hole, the green chemical spreads into the soil, seeping into the drinking water pipes. A local resident drinks the contaminated water while shopping for groceries, feels unwell, and rushes home. He notices his teeth turning green and tries to clean them, but suddenly something strange happens to his body. He runs to his wife in the bathroom and attacks her, biting her neck. It's revealed that the green chemical sprayed by the M company contains a virus, which has infected the man, turning him into a zombie. His wife also turns into a zombie after being bitten. At the same time, Marcel finishes his game and stands with Maud and Michael in front of the club building. Suddenly, they see employees running out of the building, fleeing the area. Confused, they don't understand what's happening. Ruby, the dog, suddenly attacks Maud, biting her and turning her into a zombie. Marcel and Michael run into the building to hide, but Ruby chases them and bites Marcel's leg, turning him into a zombie too. Terrified, Michael escapes to the kitchen, grabs a knife, and locks the door to protect himself. Meanwhile, Officer Dano receives a report from an elderly woman complaining about the noise from her neighbors. He drives to the house and finds that everyone inside has turned into zombies. An elderly woman also turns into a zombie and chases Dano, but he manages to escape and locks himself in his car, confused about what's happening. He calls his daughter to check on her, but when she doesn't answer, he becomes very worried and sends her a message explaining what's happening on the island, warning her to stay safe. At home, Andrea is with his sister, and his mother returns from work and asks him to do something for his baby sister. In Beirut, Andrea is near the tap to take water from her. His mother forbids him and asks him to use water from the bottle intended for his sister in the refrigerator. At night, Andrea comes out of his room and suddenly sees his mother changing and looking strange, and she attacks him to bite him. So, Andre runs outside the house and is afraid and terrified of his mother who is running after him. Suddenly Dan comes, who is driving his car quickly to go to his daughter, and he crashes. Andre's mother accidentally threw Andre's mother on the floor and was churning. He gets out of his car and writes that she turned into a zombie like the people he saw and ran away from. So Andrea is upset and understands that his mother is not the only one who has experienced this and that there are many people like her in the city. While they are talking and see many people infected with the virus and coming towards them, blood comes out of Andrea. He asks him to enter the house to be safe. He gets in his car and drives quickly. Andrea pulls his mother by the legs and enters the house without letting her touch him. He loves her in the bathroom and quickly closes the door. Andrea tries to ask him to call the police, but he hears a recorded message to all the residents of Peacock Island. The police ask them to stay indoors and not open the door to anyone, no matter who they are. At this moment, Annie cries loudly, which attracts the attention of the zombies in the street. They go towards the door of the house and try to break in. Andrea tries to silence her, so that the zombies walk and stay away from them, and it appears that Andre is very scared and does not know what to do. At the club at this time, Patty is hiding so that no one sees her and is talking to her father in a low voice and tells him that she is scared because the zombies are all around her. He tells her that he is coming to her on the way and asks her not to move from her place. When Dan arrives at the club, he meets 3 zombies and a man who attacks him, but he beats them all and quickly enters to his daughter and closes the door of the building. At this time, on the island's bridge, the police forces are coming from the city and are surprised by a very large number of zombies standing on the bridge. Dano fights off the zombies and rushes to his daughter, locking the building's door behind him. Meanwhile, on the island's bridge, police forces from the city arrive, only to find a large group of zombies blocking the bridge. The officer calls his commander, reporting that they can't enter the island. The police retreat to the city, and the government decides to blow up the bridge to prevent the spread of the zombie infection beyond the island. The next day, Camelia heads to the bridge to go to work, but she is shocked to find it destroyed. She returns, terrified and confused by what's happening. On the island, Andrea watches the news, where a government official apologizes for destroying the bridge, explaining it was the only way to ensure the infection doesn't spread beyond the island. Andrea goes to the bathroom to check on his mother and give her food. Annie crawls behind him without him noticing, approaching their mother, who tries to attack and bite her. Andrea panics and distracts his mother, leading her away from Annie. He manages to lure her out of the bathroom and away from his sister. Suddenly, a television falls on his mother's head, killing her. Andrea is devastated and feels guilty. He returns her body to the bathroom. He then takes his sister and decides to leave the house. Andrea locks the door and waits for the zombies outside to enter the house, then sneaks out with his sister unnoticed. While walking in the street, they are attacked by a group of zombies who have filled the streets. Andrea runs with his sister towards a supermarket, but he is shocked to find all the doors locked and realizes they are surrounded by zombies who are about to attack them. And suddenly, the supermarket door opens, and someone pulls him inside. Dan is the one who pulled Andrea and saved him from the zombies. Dan tells Andrea that he has been here since yesterday and hasn't been able to leave because of the zombies everywhere. Afterward, Andrea searches the supermarket for food for his sister Annie and notices a woman infected with the virus locked inside the vegetable fridge. Dan reassures him, explaining that she is his daughter, Patty, and he locked her up because he hopes she will recover and return to normal. Meanwhile, at the club, Michael contacts the M Company to send a plane to take him off the island. It turns out that Michael knows the reason behind everything happening is the material he purchased from M Company to build the golf course. The company exaggerates, saying they will send their employees to eliminate the virus and instruct him to destroy anything linking them to the events. Night falls, and Dan and Andrea sit eating while listening to Patrick's radio program. Patrick speaks with the minister about his decision to wipe out all the residents of Peacock Island to save the city and the world before the virus spreads further. So far, no one knows the cause of the virus. After finishing his call with the minister, Patrick receives a call from Dan, who tells him he is one of the island's residents, along with 2 children and his infected daughter. Dan asks Patrick for help to leave the island to treat his daughter, but Patrick refuses, fearing it will spread the virus further. Dan becomes upset, hangs up, and then discusses with Andrea the virus's spread and transmission among the island's residents. Dan suspects the water is the source since everyone drinks from the same supply. Andrea insists they can't stay in the supermarket for long. They need to find a cure to protect themselves from the virus because staying there isn't safe. The next day, 2 armed employees from M Company arrive on the island, killing every zombie they encounter. At the same time, Michael burns all contracts between him and M Company that could prove their involvement in building the golf course. It is revealed that Michael still possesses a sample of the virus-containing material. The 2 employees confront him, and he initially believes they are there to solve the problem as the company informed him. However, he is shocked when they tie him up and force the toxic substance into his mouth, turning him into a zombie and killing him. Meanwhile, Camelia contacts Patrick, asking him to call the government to send military forces to rescue the uninfected people. Patrick tells her the government won't risk endangering 1 million lives to save 2,000 people on the island. He refuses to continue the conversation and ends the call. Dan and Andrea leave the supermarket, taking Dan's daughter with them. He places her head inside a sealed box to prevent her from harming anyone. They head toward the island's water source, leaving the car and locking it. They take Patty with them. As soon as they enter and Patty sees the water tank, she is drawn to it and throws herself in. Dan rushes after her to pull her out but discovers zombies in the water. Suddenly, a zombie attacks Andrea, who quickly escapes to the car with his sister, waiting for Dan to return. Dan tries to pull his daughter out of the water, but her hand grips his tightly. Heartbroken by what happened to his daughter, Dan takes her and quickly leaves the area. He realizes that the zombies do not attack him or his daughter because she is one of them. Dan and his daughter get into the car. Andrea uses Patty's hand to unlock her phone, as she is the only one with a phone. Dan notices green grass spreading inside Patty's hand, concluding that the green substance used by the wealthy on the golf course is the cause. The golf course is the only place on the island with grass during winter. They rush to the club to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, the two M Company employees arrive at the golf course and use balls containing a substance to eliminate the virus from the grass. Dan and Andrea reach the club but find all the doors locked. Dan climbs to the roof, enters the building, and opens the door. He locks his daughter in a separate room and places his sister Ani in a specific spot, surrounding her with chairs for safety. Dan and Andrea search for the substance responsible for the virus's spread. Andrea records everything on Patty's phone. By chance, they see the dog that caused the virus, but it has reached an advanced stage, with its body covered in green grass. Dan feels distressed, fearing his daughter might reach the same stage and become incurable. They decide to split up to save time. When Andrea returns, he discovers his sister Ani is missing. He searches for her throughout the club. Elsewhere, Dan finds bombs attached to gas cylinders about to explode. He follows the wires, trying to prevent the explosion. Suddenly, Dan realizes he has been infected with the virus. He collapses to the ground from exhaustion, but gathers his strength and manages to stop the countdown just in time. The two M Company employees notice the countdown has stopped and decide to return to the building to investigate. Inside, Ani is found sitting on the kitchen floor. One of the employees places the toxic substance in front of Ani for her to eat and leaves. Andrea finds his sister and is relieved. He carries her, intending to leave, but the employees corner him and try to force the green substance into his mouth. Suddenly, Ani turns into a zombie and bites one of the employees. At the same moment, Dan attacks the other employee, preventing them from harming Andrea. After he turns into a zombie, he bites her on the neck. She eliminates the virus, and Andrea accidentally steps on it. A thick smoke emerges from the sphere, and Annie inhales it. Dan is about to attack Andrea, but he retreats because he also inhaled the smoke, and his condition begins to improve. Afterward, Andrea locks Dan and his daughter in the same room. The two girls stand facing each other, shocked to realize they are both infected with the virus. Each of them pulls out her gun, and they shoot each other. At that moment, Andrea starts a live broadcast, explaining to people what is happening and showing them everything he recorded on the island. He reveals that the infected people's bodies turn into green grass after a while. He also says that he needs someone to help him and his sister. The video spreads everywhere, and the broadcaster Patrick sees it. He sympathizes with Andrea and talks on air, saying that the government must help the island's residents. After a while, it becomes clear that the government responded to Patrick's words and sent military forces to the island. However, they eliminate everyone there, without distinguishing between the infected and the uninfected. Andrea sees them and becomes scared. He takes his sister and escapes with her. The forces reach Danny and his daughter, who are no longer infected because of the substance he inhaled. He tells them he is not infected, but they burn him and his daughter without verifying his claim. At that moment, the minister announces that the situation has been brought under control and the spread of the infection has been prevented. While speaking, he drinks from a cup bearing the logo of Company M. It is revealed that the minister owns Company M and is the one responsible for everything that happened. Meanwhile, Andrea reaches the river and sees Camellia coming to the island by boat to save him and his sister. She has also recovered from the virus and returned to her normal state. As soon as Andrea and his sister board the boat, he throws Patty's infected hand into the river. A fish comes and eats Patty's hand, and moments later, the fish turns into a zombie. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button so you never miss an updates.